Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Brittany and I like to read a lot. I think you should definitely subscribe and join this little fun corner of YouTube here. Today we are going to be going over all of the books that I read in May and what I thought of them, what I rated them, and I did read 19 books this month. I do typically average between like 18 to 23-ish books a month lately, and I just like to read. It's my favorite hobby. I like to escape the real world. By the time I'm finishing a book, I'm already ready to jump into a new book because I don't ever want to be left alone with my thoughts. Let's just jump right in. I feel like I had a pretty good reading month. I did not pull any of the books off of my shelf because I just got done redoing my bookshelf a couple days ago and I'm not ready to like disrupt the masterpiece of it. I feel like it turned out so freaking cute and I did film it. I will be posting a full library tour, going through all the books I own, my entire room tour, because I realized I don't think I've ever done a room tour. So that will be coming, but I am giving you a little forewarning that it probably will be like the end of June or even sometime in July because I have a couple other videos scheduled prior. So I guess you'll just have to be patient and wait for that. I'll be putting little clips here of the books, that way you guys can still see the book that I am talking about. Like I said, I just did not want to disrupt things because I have certain books like stacked on top of each other or like set in different ways that I feel like it's just going to be a pain right now to take the books off. So I do have the little list here of all the books I've read with my rating and my thoughts on them, so let's just jump right in. These aren't exactly in order. I do try to keep them in the general order that I read them in the month, but sometimes like when I'm making my list, they're not in the exact order, okay? So the first one on my list is Lies of My Monster by Rena Kent. That was a 5-star for me. This is part of the Monster Trilogy. I love the Monster Trilogy. It is my favorite Rena Kent series so far that I have read. These follow Sasha and Kirill, and Sasha, like the first book starts with her pretty much like going undercover in the military as a man, just like to go in hiding. He ends up figuring out that she is a woman and something happens. He ends up having to go back to the States and she ends up going with him to be like one of his personal guards. And then of course like a romance forms, but there's a lot more to it, like with the mafia and him trying to build his own empire and everything. And the second book is kind of just following that as well. But something crazy really happens and the whole book is crazy. Like it starts crazy, it continues being crazy, and then it ends crazy. So yeah, I really can't say much about the actual book without spoiling how the first one ends, and I don't really want to do that to you guys. So long story short, 5-star, absolutely loved it, and I cannot wait to read the third book. Then we have We Were Liars. I wanted to love this book because I feel like I see it on TikTok a lot and I saw that it's getting a show. So I did, you know, the normal thing where I was like, oh, this looks like a really good show. I want to watch it. Let me go read the book first. I don't get the hype. I literally had to DNF it because this literally felt like I gave a child like a computer and said, here, write a book. Because, oh my god, that sounds so mean. Okay. That came out mean, but just like the writing was not my style. And if you did like it, I am jealous of you because I really did want to love it and I was really excited, honestly, to go into it. And I feel like I say that all the time, that like I don't judge people if they like a book that I don't like. I literally am jealous of you and I wish that I liked it. So just to clarify, like even if I ever say something mean about the book, it's not personal. Then I read Offside by Avery Keelan. I rated that 3.75. This was just like a fun little hockey romance. Every hockey season, I just like really get in the mood, obviously, to read hockey romances, especially because we go to the games and just it feels immersive to me to like be watching hockey while reading also like a little fun hockey romance. I honestly thought this was really fun and cute. This follows our female main character Bailey, and her ex literally dumps her like on her birthday. He's kind of a piece of crap, you know what I mean? She ends up running into Chase, who's our main male character, at a club, and she ends up getting like super drunk or whatever, and he kind of like, I guess, takes care of her, I guess you could say. Like nothing happens, whatever. They end up getting along, hanging out and everything, but the tea is that they are like her team and his team, well, not her team, but like her school, and like her ex and her brother are on this team. They're rivals with his team. So this is kind of like an ex-boyfriend's rival, but also brother's rival. But overall, I did really enjoy this one. I do really like Chase. I feel like he's a very like golden retriever, adorable main male character who really cares for her. There are like some things that kind of irritated me in this book, but I don't want to go into them again because they're major plot points. So I don't want to spoil them for anybody, but for the most part, I did like it. It's not my favorite, and I probably would never like think about it again, but I did enjoy it for what it was. Next, we have Magnolia Parks. This Oh my gosh. This book ruined me. This book left me distraught for like a week. I could not stop thinking about this book in like a good way, but also I guess not in a good way, because I was just like, I feel like I was like living through like past traumas, because I've been Magnolia, I've been there. I think I was getting a little bit of PTSD, but it was such a good book. I rated this 5 stars. I do have a reading vlog reading this book that was just recently uploaded, so definitely check that out if you want to see like all my thoughts. It's pretty funny because I go back and forth where I'm like, oh my god, I love BJ, oh my god, I hate BJ. Like, just the whole vlog was great. I feel like it was very entertaining. I do want to do a reread of this book and fully annotate it. I also did buy the rest of them and I plan on continuing the series. I might do a whole reading vlog where I am reading them all in one video, because I just feel like that might be enjoyable for somebody, who knows. It also holds me accountable to read it all, because I'm really notorious for starting a series and like being really bad at finishing them. So, but I'm absolutely hooked. I had this book on my shelf for like 2 years probably, and I just like been actively avoiding it because I was like nervous of the toxicness and everything of it. But I loved this book. Oh my gosh, it was so enjoyable. It was funny, but also very like toxic. Like, it had both ends of the spectrum. And it literally just felt like you were watching like a dumpster fire just burning in like the best possible way. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's very drama filled and insane, and your heart will probably break, but hopefully, I hope at some point it's gonna get mended back together. Gosh, I hope. The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walter. I did rate this 3.75. When I first started this book, I was on vacation and I like found it entertaining, but I couldn't get into it as much. But then when I came back home, I was like, okay, you know what? We're gonna sit down and we're gonna actually read this book and get it done. I think it was really cute and enjoyable. Like, nothing crazy happens, but it's just like a fun little summer high school romance type book. I feel like if you liked The Summer I Turned Pretty, you probably would like this book, because I feel like the vibes are kind of similar, except for like the whole brother love triangle thing. But every summer these characters go to Martha's Vineyard. This is the first summer that Meredith goes back after her sister dies, and this is like part of the synopsis. I always feel like I have to say that, because I feel like if I say somebody dies, people are gonna be like, oh my god, but like it's actually like in the synopsis, so like it's not a spoiler. And all of the extended family and everything will be there as well because of a wedding, so it's just kind of like a very overwhelming moment that it's like her first time going back and she's seeing all of these people after her sister died. And her longtime like boyfriend, they end up breaking up before she goes, and her family has this tradition where they play this game called Assassin, except it's obviously with squirt guns. And most of the book you are following that, which is why at first I was kind of like, okay, like it kind of felt like that was like the whole plot of the book at certain points, where I was like, okay, like I'm ready to move on. But the more you get into it, like the more fun it is, and you kind of feel like you're playing the game too. And she ends up forming an alliance with another character, and they end up building like this bond with each other, and it's really, really cute. Honestly, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, so definitely recommend if you're wanting like a fun little summer book. Oh my god, then we have Pucking Around by Emily Rath. This book was so filthy. I rated this 4 stars. That book was so fun. This was like a Why Choose reverse harem, but it's hockey, so it follows, what the hell, Rachel? It follows Rachel, who ends up working with the Jacksonville Rays, and she snags the attention of 3 of the guys. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a Why Choose. It's a fun story. It's so entertaining. I really like Emily Rath's writing. I feel like her writing is just very, very entertaining. And I also love how this is the first Why Choose I read where I wasn't just like hooked on one character. I actually liked every single character, because I feel like when I read a Why Choose, there's always like one where I love more than the other, and I'm like, dang, I just kind of wish it was just you two and that's it. No, I liked all of their characters in this book for their own reason, which I think is really cool for an author to be able to like invoke that out of me, because I am very much like a I like you and only you person. Next we have Lightlark by Alex Astor. I did rate this 3.5. This is also in that video with Magnolia Parks, and I'm like iffy about this one, right? Because I can see why people love it, but I can also see why people don't like it at all, and I'm right there in the middle. I went back and forth multiple times where it started off and I was like, cool, I think I'm intrigued, I think I like the characters, I think I like the plot. Then we get further in and I'm like, I lost the plot, I don't know what's going on, I don't care about the characters, I don't care how this ends, they could all die, like I don't care. Then we got back to like 70% and I'm like, I'm locked in again. Now I want to know what's going on. And now the way it ended, I'm like, crap. Now I have to read the rest of the series because the 180 that the ending did, I was like not expecting that. And now I'm like, I need to see if this is actually the route that it's taking or if she's just trying to throw us in for like a little whirlwind, you know? I think the overall premise and concept was really good. I just don't think I like how it was executed. And I don't think I like how the love triangle was executed because for the longest time, I didn't even realize it was like an actual love triangle. And then I don't, like, is this something where we're supposed to be on one of their teams? Because I'm personally Team Grimm, but I don't know if that's the right choice. But that's how I feel right now. I also will say that I wish that we focused more on, well, okay, let me tell you the plot first and then I'll tell you this last part. This is about the island called Lightlark. Every 100 years, it appears to host these like games or trials, and the rulers of each of the 6 realms are invited to play in these like deadly trials, and each trial is supposed to be something from like their realm. So based on this, I thought this was going to be like a whole like thing about trials and competition, and like I kind of feel like that's how this was advertised. However, the thing that I don't like is I felt like most of the plot was focused on this other subplot rather than the trials, and I went into this expecting the trials, so I feel like I would have loved to see more of that, especially like her trial and everything for her realm, but it focused more on the subplot of finding a specific item. So it was still enjoyable. I just feel like I wish we would have just gotten that plot and like the trials kind of weren't even a thing, and that there was like some other reason that they had to go to Lightlark or something. Moving on, I read The Pucking Wrong Number with C.R. Jane. This was a buddy read with my friend, and I really enjoyed this. I rated this 4 stars. Lincoln is absolutely unhinged, but you know what? Go off King, right? Because it's a dark romance. I'm pretty sure it's a dark hockey romance, I want to say, and it delivered. Yeah. He's definitely unhinged, but that's okay because it's fictional. And the thing is that people don't understand, I feel like, that don't read dark romance, is like when you're getting their POV, you're reading their intentions. So like what they're doing objectively is obviously creepy and stalkerish or crazy, but when you're reading from their POV, you're like, oh well, their intentions are this, like their intentions are good. Like all of his intentions were good, it's just the delivery of these things that he did were like, sir. So yeah, honestly this whole book follows, and I really can't remember the female main character's name, so I'm so sorry, but it follows her and Lincoln, who is a NHL player, and he goes to text somebody and it ends up being the wrong number, which is this girl that he ends up texting, our female main character. And she's just like a very hardworking girl because she's trying to not follow in the footsteps of like her mother, and she's trying to just work multiple jobs to pay rent and go through school and all of this stuff. So she ends up just like texting him back to be funny, and they kind of have like a little bit of a banter going on, and then it just becomes like natural for them. They just start texting back and forth, and Lincoln obviously finds out who she is because it's a dark romance and he's obsessed with her. And he slowly starts doing things trying to improve her life, but by kind of controlling it, I guess you could say. But it's just so entertaining. I feel like that's all I can say. It's an entertaining book. Then we have Heavenly Bodies. This is so good. This is like a 6-star god tier book, I think, for me. I enjoyed this book so much. This book really captivated me. It's very heavily based on like astrology and mythology and everything as well. Like it's based off that, but they loosely use the terms. Like they slightly change the names of like our signs and our Greek gods and everything, but in a way where you know that like that's exactly who the author is intending it to be. So this follows our female main character Alara, and there's a prophecy that states that she's going to fall in love with the star Ariat, and that will kill them both. And Ariat is like, I don't think so. So he comes down and ends up trying to like kill her and just wreaks havoc on her entire kingdom. And so she tries to escape, which ends up leading her to get captured by a neighboring kingdom, Helios. This is where we meet Enzo. He is the prince of this kingdom, and long story short, his dad, the king, ends up wanting to use Alara as a weapon essentially to kill the stars. So they kind of have like this mutual beneficial agreement. Enzo has to train her. There's such great banter. They don't like each other at first or whatever. And it's a romantasy, so you obviously know what happens, but there's just so much like yearning and like protectiveness, and I love it. It's so good. I love it so much. I really just think the plot was great, and I truly cannot wait to continue this series. Then I have A Dowry of Blood. I did rate this 4.75. This was so entertaining. This follows Constanta, and it's told from like her POV kind of, but in the form of letters written to Dracula. And it's kind of like following her her life with him, how they met, how they fell in love, and then the other people that are kind of involved in this marriage thing. And it's written in second person, which is so unique. I've never read a book in second person, so I really did enjoy that as well. And the only thing I didn't like about this book is that they're all like collectively getting together and stuff, but they're calling each other like sister, brother, and whatever, and that kind of like icked me out a little bit. But that's really it. Everything else about it I found really, really entertaining. I really annotated it because it had a lot of great lines. I feel like the writing was very, very fantastic, and I just really enjoyed it. And then following with that, I also did read the little like epilogue novella, An Encore of Roses. I did not rate that because I'm pretty sure it was like 20 something pages, so I just felt like I really couldn't rate it anyways. It just follows Alexei. It's from his POV, and like them all reuniting with Magdalena, Alexei, and Constanta. So that was really it. But it was like a good little finale to the way Dowry of Blood ended, so I did like that, but I'm just not rating it. Next, we do have Lady of Darkness. This I rated 3.75. It was entertaining, but I wouldn't say that it's like my favorite thing in the world, at least the first book. It felt kind of very info dumpy at certain points, and it felt like it dragged at certain points where I was like, okay, come on, like I just want to like finish the book, you know what I mean? The female main character also kind of irritated me at certain points, but overall I did enjoy the plot, and I'm very intrigued to see like where this is going to go, so I do plan on continuing the series. I also might have just been like kind of entering a slump type of thing because I read a lot of fantasy this month, I feel like, so maybe I was just kind of like, okay, give me a break, because I was like jumping into fantasy after fantasy at certain points, so that could also be why. But I did still enjoy it. I just wish it was executed a little better. Also, I feel like it very much gave like Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass type vibes, and I know a lot of people compare a lot of fantasy books to anything by Sarah J Maas, and typically it's normally like nothing like that at all, and it's like, okay, you guys are kind of just saying that, but I feel like this one is the closest book I have read so far to something like Throne of Glass, but also it's like its own entity at the same time, so it's like similar. It took inspo from it for sure, but it's like also its own story. So this follows Scarlet. She is an assassin for an assassin lord, and she has two sisters, and the trio of them is supposed to be like these notorious deadly assassins that like the continent is afraid of. Something tragic happens that ends with Scarlet being locked away in a noble's household, and so she's kind of like ready to fall in line and take assignments again. She ends up getting a job, and if she completes this assignment, she'll get the opportunity to do something that she's been wanting to do, which is to kill the Fae Fire Prince. Children are like going missing, so she's trying to figure out like this whole mystery as well. She's training with another character that we meet, and honestly it was really entertaining. Like I said, I just wish that some of it got cut out. I felt like there was some filler that we didn't need, and I feel like it would have made the story be a lot more smoother. Oh my god. The next book that I did read was Credence by Penelope Douglas. This was a 2-star, and I'm very shocked actually by that because I typically do love taboo type romances or like very abnormal things like that, but something about this just icked me out more than I thought it would. I don't know if it was the fact that they did keep calling each other cousin and uncle at one point, even though they're not technically blood related, or if it was the fact that she was 17 years old while some of these things were happening, or the fact that on the men's side they are all related and they would be doing stuff together like with her. Well, not like together with each other, but like together with her. And like, I'm like, oh, you guys are brothers. Like, I don't know what it was, but I just was not a fan of it. This follows Tiernan, who her parents pass away, and Jake, Uncle Jake, ends up calling her saying like, hey, they left you to me, like you don't have to come, but you're more than welcome to come, but I live in this area that gets snowed in for months at a time. It's very secluded, like we lose internet, we lose power, whatever. So she's kind of like, oh, it would be really nice to go off the grid and just like escape from my life or whatever. So she goes, she meets him and her two cousins, but they're not actually related. So her uncle is her dad's stepbrother, and they like did not like each other. They hated each other. So she's never met this man. She's never met her cousins. None of them are related. I don't know. I just didn't like it. She would like literally call them uncle and cousin at certain points, and like she got with all of them, and it just was so interesting to me, and it just was not my cup of tea, which is crazy because like I said, I love taboo and I love just like crazy books, so I'm very shocked by that. But yep, was not for me. Then I arc read Notes on Infinity. I did get a physical copy of this. I enjoyed this. I did rate it 3.5. Initially, I really liked where this was going. It's very like science focused, and I love science, so I did enjoy like that aspect of it and the academia aspect of it, and seeing like these science methods being talked about and like how they're coming up with these plans and everything. And I kind of enjoyed like this little romance that was budding, and I did really like it. Around 70% the narrative kind of shifted, and I started to lose interest in it, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I really like the route that this is taking now. But then the ending like shocked me again, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I ended up doing a 3.5 because I did really enjoy it. It just wasn't my absolute favorite, but I do wish that we got more of the like aftermath of everything and like the trials and the case and everything. I feel like the ending was pretty rushed. Like the whole book kind of follows this whole thing, and then the ending just like rushes everything in like the last like 10%. So I'm kind of like, dang, I really wanted more of that. But yeah, I did really enjoy it. So this follows two students who end up working together to create a like anti-aging drug, and it's following like the allure of immortality and everything, and just like early success. I don't know, it's really enjoyable. If you like lit fic, I would definitely recommend it. Jumping back to romance, I did read The Nanny. This was a 4-star for me. I kind of like tortured myself with this one because I read it during a 24-hour challenge, and I think if I read it at any other point I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But I did rate it 4 stars because like that's not the author's fault that I forced myself to read it all in one sitting, you know what I mean? So it did feel really drastically long at certain points, but that's because I was like tired and was like just ready to be done with the book. But it was fun. There's really not much to it. It's just like a fun little romance of a single dad and a nanny. And the nanny is a she used to have an OnlyFans, and ironically the single dad, he used to be her like subscriber, like her favorite subscriber, and they would like have private sessions and everything, but they didn't know that they were each other's, like they didn't know each other until like they started to piece it together. So it was really like interesting to follow. I thought it was interesting. I loved the dynamic with the daughter. I thought that was enjoyable, and I did like it. It was a good time. Then I read another arc. This is Goldflame by Adeline Knight. I love this book so much. I read the first book as an arc as well, and I own it as well, and I definitely plan on buying the second one too. This is definitely becoming one of my favorite series. The second one is very dark, so if you do read this series ever, be sure at least for the second book to check your triggers, because there's a lot in there that is very dark that I was like, oh my god, this poor girl. Like, just reading about it was very hard sometimes, but it's a very good book. The author is very sweet. I love her, and I love the series because it is like a female rage type book where she's trying to get revenge on everyone who did her mother wrong. She's crazy. The main male character's crazy. Everybody's crazy. I love it. I need the third book like I need air, to be honest. Then I read House of Worn Bone by Leah Stone. I rated this 4 stars. Listen, this series is such a like basic series. I understand that. The writing is very basic. It leaves nothing to the imagination. It's very straightforward. No crazy world building, no crazy complex plot. But sometimes that's just like what I need. Like, if I am overwhelmed, I've been reading a lot of crazy fantasy books or just reading so much, and I need something like really fun and easy to digest. That is such a good book. That series is so enjoyable. I love the overall plot of it. It follows our female main character who she has a curse where if someone touches her, it causes her excruciating pain, and she finds out someone can touch her. I say this every time I talk about this book, but think of like Reverse Shatter Me, where it causes her pain instead of like how Juliet causes pain on other people. It's always like the best description I can give because a lot of people have read Shatter Me. But anyways, so she finds out someone can touch her. She ends up getting invited to attend the university in the Gilded City, and she ends up learning a lot about her past, all this dark magic that she actually has, and like this family that she's from. And you're following her just trying to learn all about this, and people just like don't like her because this person kind of like is very evil and everyone's afraid that she's going to turn out like this. And like I said, it's just like a fun, easy to digest little fantasy book. It's YA, it's written very YA, but I eat it up. I don't care. The first one is House of Ash and Shadow, then we have House of Worn Bone, and then I can't remember the name of the third one, but I will be reading the third one as well. So 2 more books. So we have Enchantra by Kaylee Smith, and this was a 4 star. I'm seriously obsessed with this whole series. I love the whole like dark fantasy aspect of it. I do love like paranormal, gothic, dark fantasies. Those are probably like my favorite genre. I do love the plot and concept of a deadly game of hide and seek. I thought that was really cool. I love the marriage of convenience. I love Rowan. I love the characters. I will say I do think I like Phantasma a little more because it felt like the stakes were higher and the games were more deadly and serious and like anxiety inducing, whereas this one kind of felt like half the time they were just hiding out in a room talking, which I know like is not, like there was a lot that happens, but I'm just saying like compared to Phantasma, you know what I mean? And yeah, I really liked it. I think there's going to be another one, I'm pretty sure they said, so I'm very excited. And if you have not read the series yet, I definitely recommend it because I think it's so enjoyable. And the last book that I did read in the month of May, I literally finished this book on the last day of May, and it is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This was a 5-star, and it's so funny because I thought I was gonna hate this book. So it's been sitting on my shelf for 2 years. I've actively been avoiding this book, right? I know I said this in my last video I just posted, so if you saw that, I don't want to completely repeat myself, but long story short, I read Fall of Ruin and Wrath by this author. I hated it. I DNF'd it. I was like, I don't even want to look at you. Like, I hated it. So then I looked and I was like, oh, dang. I have this book by the same author on my shelf. Like, now I'm so scared to read it, even though everybody talks about it. So I just kept putting it off and off and off. So finally I filmed this video where I'm reading popular book talk books. And I was like, you know what? This would be a good book for this video because I see it all over book talk. Lo and behold, I'm obsessed with it. I love this book. I love Castile. He's going on the list. He really is. I do really like Poppy as well. And I really like the overall plot and concept of this. I think the world was interesting. I love that it's kind of like a bodyguard romance in a fantasy realm because Hawk ends up being her personal guard because she's a maiden. And there's like this character called the Dark One, and there's vampires, and it's so good. I highly recommend it if you do like romantasy type books or like just fantasy in general. I definitely would recommend it if you haven't read it yet, especially if you do like The Serpent and the Wings of Night, Addt'l, like Fourth Wing, like those type of books. I feel like you would really like From Blood and Ash. So those are all of the books that I did read in the month of May. I think I had a really good month. Like I said, I think it was a lot of fantasy. So who knows what we're gonna get up to in June. I'm mostly gonna be mood reading this month because last month I focused on specific videos that I was filming, so I still technically had a TBR. I just want to mood read for a little bit because I've been getting kind of overwhelmed and I don't want to like burn myself out by forcing myself to read so many books specifically and not what I'm actually in the mood for. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the giant thumbs up. That way I know that you did like this video, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!